Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ross Draw. My name is Ross and I draw, but can I draw using the Nintendo Switch? Yeah, there's this brand new painting application called Colors Live and it looks really cool. For my knowledge, this was a Kickstarter project and I know how difficult it is. I kickstarted my book Nima, and for this game to end up on the official Nintendo eStore, that's so cool. And so I messed around with the features for an hour. I painted these clouds here. This is not a sponsored video. I just wanted to try out this cool app, and so let's see if I can paint a fully rendered piece. First things first is the Sonar pen. You're gonna need this to be able to paint with Colors Live, and if you help kickstart the game, you would have received this for free, but since I bought my copy of the app on the Nintendo eStore, I had to purchase my pen on Amazon. And so the first thing you see here is that you connect the pen through the headphone jack, which is super odd. I've never actually seen that before, but I had no issues connecting. The first thing I noticed is this kind of plastic dish on top of the nib. Super interesting. At first, I thought it was a protector for your nib until I played with it and oh! I pulled it out and I thought I broke it, but it turns out this plastic little dish is part of the nib and you're gonna need it to paint with. It's really odd, I've never seen it before, but hey, it works. So the left and right triggers of the Switch are used to undo and redo, which I find pretty interesting because it makes me feel like I'm playing a video game opposed to painting on an app. But the left and right shoulder buttons are really close to the triggers. So sometimes I press one rather than the other and I make the wrong selection and could get confusing. So that's something to look out for. Yeah, you can see here that my sketch looks a little wobbly. I know that industry standard painting programs have line stabilization that's really good, but Colors Live isn't at that quality yet. I'm using an airbrush here because, you know, it's less commitment, and also this is a brand new painting program. I'm using the airbrush to kind of block in the big picture, and then later I can make more kind of refined strokes. So unfortunately, right here, my pen sensitivity broke. I'm not really sure what happened. You know, whenever I make a stroke, the width stayed the same the whole entire time, but maybe let's just push on and it'll fix itself. On the D-pad over here, it allows you to zoom in and out, and it also has a hand tool, which allows you to pan around your painting. I actually really like the placement here. It feels nice and it's really easy to use. Pen here, still broken, so I'm gonna try and calibrate my pen. You know, I'm opening up the menu, playing with some settings. Hopefully I can find a workaround because it'd be really nice to paint with some stroke variation. Yeah, at this stage of my painting, I usually use the smudge tool or the mixer brush to kind of blend some pigments around, get that smooth look. But unfortunately, Colors Live doesn't have that option, so I'm gonna use the airbrush instead to get a similar effect. As I mentioned before, I wasn't really sure how I felt about this nib and this pen. But as I move into more finer details, I find it pretty hard to know exactly where I'm painting, you know, and have accurate strokes. Well, sometimes it doesn't matter which program you're painting in, there's always gonna be a time where you paint on the wrong layer. So here, I'm just gonna merge some layers, edit some layers around, and let's resume. Now I'm at the stage of my painting where I actually need to work on those finer details, and the pen calibration still isn't working. So let's try to restart my whole entire Switch. Hopefully that works. And finally, pen calibration is working 100% again. Sick. Also, I learned that there's a max of 10 layers. You know, usually you don't need that many, but if you are a professional artist trying to paint something super detailed, maybe you'd want more. Also, there's not a fully functional lasso tool that I would like, but you can select an area and you can rotate it, you can transform it and move it around. You just can't select an area and paint inside of it. I think it'd be really cool to add some character to these eyes, and so what if I made these Faye's eyes? And so she has kind of like a nice scarlet red hair, and I'm gonna add some eye tattoos as well. So there you have it. Was I able to paint with the Nintendo Switch? I'm not really sure, but it was fun to experiment. You know, I don't know if Colors Live is gonna beat Procreate or CSP or Photoshop anytime soon, but if you have a Nintendo Switch laying around and you want to dabble into digital art, I think it's a great option. I read somewhere on their website that they're planning some upcoming updates that include improved line stabilization and also adding some new brushes. So I'm excited to see how the app progresses. To the developers of Colors Live, I think you guys killed it. I think this is such a cool painting program. I wish I had something like this when I was growing up and getting into digital art, you know, and you guys are really giving a lot of accessibility to younger digital artists and allowing them to create their own characters, allowing them to create their own worlds. And so thank you for creating this, and yeah, you guys smashed it. Also, huge shout out to Digital Art Bootcamp. Yeah, we are halfway through the midterm right now, which is halfway through the course. That is insane. You know, time flies by so quickly, but right after midterm is Character Design Month. Yes, this is what you guys have been waiting for. I am so excited to teach this. You know, we learned a lot of foundations. Now we are going into design. So you don't want to miss this. You can learn more at patreon.com/rossjaw. Don't forget to subscribe. Remember, every day is a color dodge day.